The fix is in. The Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at the Sportsfix CLE. It's that simple. Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby. Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, the Sports Fix on social media. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at the Sportsfix CLE. Join the Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
This is Greg Pruitt, formerly of the Cleveland Browns, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Welcome in as we are live, off and running on a Friday, end of the week, baby, taking it to the weekend edition of the Sports Fix. J-Rock here, opening up the mic and opening up the broadcast, baby. Feeling good this Friday. Hopefully, you guys, as you join me here, are feeling equally as good. And we're going to have some fun today, a loaded Friday edition, as we've always got the Sportswriter extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight, just, say about 12 minutes from now, going to join us here to kick things off, and a whole lot of things to talk about with him. I've been texting JK back and forth this morning, and he's like, just when I thought that they may have pushed you over the edge, they pull you back in. I said, brother, I'm not going nowhere, baby. And, of course, you know where I'm talking. Cleveland Indians. That's right. Ahoy! Ahoy, as we try to ramshackle us a playoff spot here. Arrgh. There you go. I had to get that out of there. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Talk like a pirate day, man. Hey, whatever floats your boat, man. As I've got things in the background playing on themselves. There we go. That's what I see. Pirates are hijacking my control board as we speak. The Indians, you know what I'm hinting about. The Indians, baby, keeping it going. The drive for the playoffs remains alive. It remains, the heartbeat's ticking. It's beating a little bit. Minnesota is the latest, most important series of all time at this point here, as they now take on their final road series of the weekend. But you know what? Hey, say what you want. I remember about a month ago when that game got rained out with 3 outs to go, I said, this is going to come back and be important on September. Well, now we know it's on September 22nd, but when the game comes back around, watch what I'm telling you. And look, I mean, say what you want about the season's over, Indians had no chance, blah, blah, blah. And mathematically, at certain times, you were closer than others. But as I was telling JK, and we'll talk about it here in a few, when you've got now a situation where, hey, man, the same number of games that you're back is the same number of games that you have against the team that you're chasing, man. The way Detroit sort of resurged, that actually helped the Indians because it positioned things a little differently, where in the wild card they still had a remaining series, whereas if it was Detroit in the wild card and Kansas City in the division, you don't control as much of that as you do. It changed a little bit of the variables, but the biggest variable is you just got to keep winning. If you do that, amazing things can happen here, and we'll see. We'll keep talking about that with Jonathan Knight momentarily. And think about last night. If you're watching the game, especially you guys that listen here, and you know I've been doing my Team of Destiny bit here for the last 3 or 4 weeks, but look at that game last night. The ninth inning is almost an argument for destiny and anti-destiny at the same time, the way the inning kind of didn't turn out as well as you would have hoped. But look at that. I mean, you know, the reversal over there at first base, and then, you know, just in general, coming back when it looked like, you know, how many people were ready to Oh, man, here we go, facing another pitcher that, we should be beating up, and instead, here we're getting shut down, and we're going to lose 1-0 because we can't score, and, they did what they do, which is somehow just scratch and claw and score something. Barely. I mean, it takes 27 of them to scratch a run across the board, but they do it. I mean, you guys have seen, I was going to bring it up later, what are they? They're less than 200 with runners in scoring position in the month of September. Like, in the playoff push, the fact that the offense is not contributing, it makes it even more amazing that we're talking like this here with 9.99 games to go here. But we are. And that's why I say, man, I'm telling you, Destiny's a bad lady, and I think she's still at play here. But we're going to talk about all of that. Matter of fact, I'm going to talk some more about that here in just a minute. Then Jonathan Knight will join in on the conversation. We'll talk some Browns, of course, football Friday, heading into the weekend. The Buckeyes are off this weekend, but the Browns make up for that with not only an opportunity to jump out 2-0 at home to start the season, but in my opinion, if there's any rivalry game besides the Steelers, this is clearly it to me, and not by the results on the field, but the fact that you've got old Browns and new Browns. You got Baltimore and Cleveland. You got the ghost of Art Modell and the specter of all that in the air, and but then again, at the same time, Joe Flacco owns the new Browns, 11-1 against them. So we'll talk about that. The ghosts of Cleveland's past and perhaps the things to come in Cleveland's future meet head up right here in Cleveland on the shores of Lake Erie this weekend. We're going to talk about all of that. Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com, as always, bringing us the Baltimore Ravens scouting report as we look at all the ways that the Ravens can beat the Cleveland Browns here and the way they're going to bash you and smash you in different formats and portions of their game. Then Ryan Ruiz from The Inscriber joins us to give the 3 dog bones to a Cleveland Browns victory. What 3 things do the Browns have to do? And if they do, they can come away with the victory here. Always a good time. Jeff Gorman, Ryan Ruiz, you guys will hit on the news of the day. We'll take some phone calls and so much more. So let's do it. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. I'm feeling good. Let's do it. Welcome in to the Sports Fix. J-Rock, Jerry Myers here with you guys across the Sports Fix radio network, across the vast spectrum of TuneIn, TuneIn's radio app worldwide, on Spreaker and Mixlr live. And I see some of my guys over there in the Mixlr chat room getting the conversation going over there. That's mixlr.com for those of you that look for that. Many of you listen live directly on our website, thesportsfix.net. Shout out to you guys. And of course, hello to each and every one of you listening throughout the weekend now, 24/7 all around the world. Thousands of you on iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes and Stitcher Radio and SoundCloud and CarPlay, all the places that you guys download, subscribe, and get the show fed to your devices. Thank you so much for doing it each and every weekday at noon right here, as I say, across the radio network. And phone lines, going to be hit and miss on taking phone calls today. I may be able to squeeze a quick phone call. And you know what? I'm not even going to open up the phone lines early. We'll open them up later on at the end of the show because we're already up against Jonathan Knight. But when we do, that number is 216-539-7535. But have no fear. Social media is here. Use that to talk to us when we've got the phone lines closed. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Stay in touch with the show 24/7. Getting back to last night in that Indians game real quick. We'll get into the break, and then we'll have Jonathan Knight, the Sportswriter extraordinaire, join us in that conversation. But, like I said, you're watching it, and you're thinking, oh, man, come on. You can't lose a game here in Houston. It just had that. The pitching's there. I mean, you give up one run, and you're like, okay, come on, guys. Why are we in this lull here? Come on, man. This is not the way it ends. It doesn't end in Houston, does it? Come on, guys. And, and hey, at the end of the day, they took care of business. They scratched a run across in the 9th inning. How about Jose Ramirez? That kid's hustle, not just last night, but since he has come back. That's one of the things that these young guys, you get good and bad when you bring up a bunch or even a select handful of younger guys, especially, and you're throwing them into the fire, into the playoff hunt and that, and one of the things you get the inexperience, that's the bad. And we've seen some of that hurt the Indians in this stretch, but at the same time, man, we've seen the good because you get that spark sometimes from the younger guys that they haven't been doing it long enough to have that, youthful optimism beaten out of them yet. They don't take it necessarily day by day. They've got that fire of the youth. Jose Ramirez, one of those guys, that kid hustles on everything, man. And look at last night. He was trying to simply sacrifice the runner over. And instead, he hustled it out so hard that you go to the replay and he ends up beating it out for a bunt. Amazing. The hustle right there. And then Bourne, he kind of got stuck on the quick play there, but I thought, man, that's where I thought everything was going to end, was right there. I said, man, come on, how you going to blow having this golden opportunity in the ninth here, man, and get caught, and then don't even go in the rundown? I figured for sure he would get in the rundown so that you could advance to second and third with the other runners and at least have second and third with one out. When that didn't happen, I said, no way. Tell me that this is not about to happen here. But it didn't. It didn't happen. Carlos Santana, the man who was maligned for much of the early part of the season, he's really come on in the second half. He continued that, brought in Ramirez, and then, you know who gets on base again? Ramirez doubles in the 13th, and Mike Aviles with the sacrifice fly brings it in. Chicken Al gets the save, and just like that, the Indians, they stay alive. The heartbeat is beating. In the Houston series, the Indians pitchers, not just the starters, the pitching staff, or maybe, I'm sorry. You know what? This is the starters, but they didn't label it correctly. The stat from the Indians, a 1.38 ERA in that series, 6 earned runs in 39 innings. No, that's the entire pitching staff. I apologize. I misread the stat. The entire pitching staff in that series, a 1.3 ERA, 50 strikeouts, 7 walks, only 6 earned runs allowed in 39 innings pitched against Houston. You definitely are getting we all know this, but definitely getting playoff caliber pitching down the stretch in this run. Talk about meaningful games, meaningful pitching there. And as we said, kind of coming full circle before we hit the break and bring Jonathan Knight into this conversation right here. Oakland loses last night. Tribe is now 4 and 4.5 games back, respectively, of both of those wild card spots there. And it's all coming down to the stretch run here, as you've got Minnesota, and you have to go take care of business here in Minnesota. If you take at least 2 out of 3, if not sweep them, and really, I'm living in the world that you got to win them all. But I understand that you maybe can let one go in this stretch here if things work out that way, and that's just keeping some realism to it. But if you do that, you set yourself in stage for this weekend, after this weekend, to have, that's it. You're controlling, somehow, after all of that, you're controlling your destiny with the Kansas City Royals. And then, man, just think about it. I said it yesterday with Mike Brandenberry. He wasn't buying it, but I don't care. Think about that. You come out of this Minnesota series unscathed, and you've got the final homestand with Kansas City and then Tampa Bay. You sweep Kansas City, and the Indians will make the playoffs. I don't care what anybody tells you. If the Tribe stays alive, as you hear it in the background, no pun intended, and they get to Kansas City and they sweep the Royals, this Indians team is making the playoffs. I'm telling you now, but you got to get there. And think about how wild those final 6.3 outs games are going to be in Cleveland next week if the Tribe comes in hot, takes care of business here in Minnesota. Because I'm telling you, it's there. It's there for the taking, baby. Let's talk about it. Let's keep it rolling. You think I'm nuts? I don't care. I'm with this thing until the very end because the Indians are in this, and their heartbeat is a little stronger than some people think. And each day that they win, it gets a little bit stronger. They did it last night. This is big. Minnesota always got something for the Indians. Gardy loves to come out there and beat the Indians. They got to the playoffs in Minnesota last year. Can they use Minnesota to get themselves back home and ready to go? Let's talk about it with Jonathan Knight coming up next. We'll talk Browns. The show rolls on. Do not go anywhere. The sportswriter extraordinaire Jonathan Knight joins us next live here on the Sports Fix.
When you look